to ourselves. You cannot grow up and become an adult without learning to control what you do. And when you grow up in such a patriarchal culture, and this isn't just extreme forms of religion, this is so ingrained in our secular culture that we elect a man into the White House like Trump that can't respect women's boundaries. We overlook and elect a man with 26 misconduct accusations from various women because we don't care about victims. And anyone who says, I care about victims, but still votes for these people is a liar. You cannot care about victims and still vote for these people. And it wasn't just one thing, it was many things. Women can't hold senior leadership positions. They're not supposed to ask questions. They're not supposed to ever be in charge unless it's all women in the room. The hierarchy that men know best, and that men and their will and desires are the only viewed desire. I mean, last time we talked about books that deny that women have a sex drive without the presence of a man. Female sexuality isn't even discussed unless it has to do with a man. But men are described as fully functioning, sovereign people. You open up any Christian book that comes from the extremist parts of Christianity, you will not find a book that I'm aware of that talks about female sexuality outside of being a wife or being a woman who's living in sin. They won't show a woman having autonomy. They show and have stories about men who may or may not be married, who are married, or have no plans of being married. They talk about men with respect. And the only time they chastise men is when they don't view women as having value, but that value is still tied up with a man. I mean, I remember being a teenager in Sunday school, and then the boys were being talked to about respecting women. Not one time did they ever say a woman should be respected, and that was it. They always said because she's someone's daughter, someone's wife, someone's sister. Women don't have value outside of the men they're tied to. If you don't have a man in your life in various ways, they deny you have sexuality at all. Because if there's not a man involved, what's the point in having female sexuality? Because they deny that women can have healthy, happy, full, complete lives without men. Which is why white evangelists or pastors ridicule women for being child-free and man-free. They don't believe a woman has any function outside of pushing kids out of her or being a man's property. And if a woman doesn't get married, she's considered under the spiritual headship of her father. Women aren't viewed as their own island. They're always a peninsula. They're always attached to a man. A father, brother, husband, a male in-law, a male guardian. Women and their sexuality are never discussed outside of some patriarchal relationship. Women who behave in ways men do, where they're carefree, they view themselves as autonomous, they approach their sexuality, freedom, and independence the way a man does, she's a threat. And these people will do everything they can to bring her down to the level they want. which is dehumanization. Because these types of groups don't see women as being their own person. You're either under a man's ownership and spiritual headship, or you're getting through that part of your time where you aren't as fast as possible by finding a man. You go into church, you find a woman who's 35 plus. They're always asking them, why aren't you married? It's never, what career do you have? Are you fulfilling a dream, or do you travel? It's always, why aren't you married? Who did you come with today? It's never about them. It's always about who they're attached to. Which is why most women don't even have their last names after they marry. Religion doesn't like women who are child-free and man-free. Because then they dehumanize them by saying, well, you're going to die alone with your cats. What is wrong with dying with your cats? I mean, I haven't heard of a cat that kills you. Because in this country, every 10 minutes, a man kills their intimate partner. I mean, 9 out of 10 women will still choose the bear. Because bears don't ruin your reputation. They don't lie about you to get your family on their side. They don't abuse you. They don't financially manipulate you. They don't wait till you're asleep and then assault you while you're unconscious. I'd always choose the bear. And any woman who doesn't, they're either naive or they like to play Russian roulette. And I mean, I don't shame people. But I will always feel safe in a room full of women. But if there's one man in the room, I don't feel safe. Even if they're the nicest person. That's just the world we live in. And I've met women from around the world. I used to be an Uber and Lyft driver. I would meet people from around the world. From every country, state, territory, continent. And I would ask them questions about how safe they feel. How men treat them. And overall, it's not good. It's terrible. And the more patriarchal your culture is, the less they see you as a human being. And people fit into many categories. Those who don't care, those that enable, those that pray, and very few, I would say, fit into the category of we aren't afraid of them. Because they haven't given us a reason to. That doesn't mean down the line we're not going to be afraid. But yes, as long as we elect white, straight, cis people, male, definitely, women will probably not advance much more than they have. We need to start electing women consistently. And having a female as a vice president is not the same thing as having a president. Because the world leaders don't look at the president and respect the president in any way like they wouldn't if it was a woman. Because a lot of the countries around the world have nothing but contempt for their women. And there's a lot of countries out there that treat women so much better than America does. I mean, you look at any European country that doesn't have the death penalty. They're 80% atheists. They're known for discovering scientific equations and winning Nobel Peace Prizes and all kinds of modern jumps forward. Very few to none are countries that are known as being religious or patriarchal. The best countries to live in and have good quality of life, they're all atheistic countries by far. And most of them are very up north, like Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland. They're countries that most people probably wouldn't want to live in the winter, even though it's a beautiful area to be in. Very similar to Alaska, where I live. But if you want to be the most progressive, wealthiest place, don't be in a religious area.